Alright, so I'm going to teach you how to use your pencil, like this, as a measuring device, and we're going to use this shoe to measure. So the first thing I want to do is measure the back of my shoe. I'm going to use my pencil and my thumb. See how my pencil point looks like it stops right here? I'm going to move my thumb till it looks like it's sitting right at the top, right at this point of my shoe right here. And I've got about, roughly there's my height. So I'm going to draw it down here. So I make a mark, then I use the thumb of my pencil, or use my thumb, to measure up from that mark, like this. So there's the height of my shoe. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use that same height, this distance that I just put down on the paper right here, and I'm going to use that distance to measure the width of my shoe. So I'm going to start way back here, 1, so I'm going to make a mark sort of like this, just with my eye, 2, 3, and just a little more than 3. So then I'm going to come back to my paper here, and from the back end here, I'm going to mark 3, 2, 3, and give myself just a little extra space over on that side. Alright, so then when I'm going to draw the shoe, everything is a measurable distance. And what I want you to think about is that your shoe has a front side and a back side. So this is your front side, and this is the back side of the shoe over here. Okay? So you want to draw the front first, and you want to draw the back second. Or you could do it at the same time. At any rate, you want to do both sides. You don't want to look at the shoe from this perspective. So, the next thing I'm going to do is try to measure the space right here, how far in it goes from the back end right there. If this is the back of my shoe, this goes in. So I'm going to imagine an invisible line that's going to stand right here. Do you see the space between the shoe and the pencil? That's the space that I'm going to measure. And it's about like that. So I'm going to come down here, and at the top, I'm going to make a mark in from here to here. This is the back end of the shoe over here. Here's the back end of my shoe, and then here's how far in the top goes. So it hits the pencil roughly about right here, so that's about how far up the furthest out point is, right about here. So I'm going to bring this curve out like this, and then bring it back around like that. So the back of your shoe is rounded like your heel. All right. The next thing I want to do is measure to my next logical point. So I like to go to the lowest point of the shoe, and I find that just by putting my pencil on there. And it should be probably right about there on this one. So I want to measure over. How far over is this distance? Well, I can use the back end of my shoe again, about like that, and measure over how many of those? 1, 2. So this point right here that I've already measured, that's going to be the lowest point. That's the farthest down my shoe comes. Then I want to measure up to this point. So it's like doing a graph in math class. You have to measure over and you have to measure up. So at this point, it is that tall. And you'll notice I'm not measuring from the table, I'm measuring from the bottom of the shoe. So I'm not putting my pencil here. See where the bottom of the pencil is below the shoe? I want it there. And this is that distance right there. All right. Then I want to connect those, the lowermost point, to the back of the shoe here. That's this point right there. And it's not a straight line. All right, I know that this point is just a little bit further back than this point, so I can measure that distance. How far is this from this? And I'm sort of moving my pencil back and forth to see if it's right. And it is. And it's about this distance right here. I'm going to double check it to make sure it's right. And it is. So there's the lowest point on the back side of the shoe. and I'm going to measure from the bottom up. About like that. So then I'm going to measure down here, about there. So they're the lowest point of the shoe on this side. It's starting to come together already. All right, for the bottom of the shoe, you can also measure to the instep. So I can measure all the way from the back like this to my instep right here. And that's going to be right about there. So yeah, it is closer to this side than that side. That's good. Then I want to measure the height. Oh, probably from the top here, which is going to be this line, from the top to where the instep is. About like that. And I'll measure, oh, this time from the top down. So right here. So there's the instep of my foot, or my shoe. And you'll notice this is a really curved line here, right? Now, I'm not going to worry about all the decorative stuff up here right now. That's something that you can do on your own or that I'll help you with during class. Right now, I'm just going to connect these two. And then I'm going to worry, if this is way over here, this is going to be the tip of my shoe. Boy, does that seem long. Oh, it's just the perspective from the camera. Okay, so I'm going to measure all the way to the tip of my shoe here. Actually, I don't have to do that, do I? No. I want to measure the height of my shoe from probably going to measure from here up, because right here you can't see in this light, but this is the bottom of the shoe is right there. So I'm going to measure from there up. I'm going to have to go back and forth. It's a little lower than that, isn't it? And that's about how high up the shoe is going to be from the very end here. So I'm going to want to mark that. Over here, like that. So the bottom of my shoe is going to come way up at the top, like that, roughly. And then you can connect this part of your shoe, and I'll just leave sort of an area here where I'm going to put that knot. And connect the toe of the shoe back. So there's just a rough outline of where that shoe's going to sit, and if I put it on top, look, it fits exactly. They should look pretty close to the same.